Hello, and welcome to Notebook 2022. I am Kimberly Hauser-Taylor, and this is my creative notebook. First, I'm going to set the mood, light a little candle. I like to do a little centering before I do a notebook session. Always be safe with matches. Little incense. I like this incense from New Mexico. You can just burn a little bit of it. Finding a moment of peace, quiet, relaxation before moving into my creative inner world. Today's first page, we'll be creating a page for my guiding herb, and that herb is rosemary. And I've gone through my collections of stuff and gathered up things that spoke to me as I reviewed what rosemary meant to me. I researched what people find rosemary to mean and what it's historically meaning. Rosemary, at its most basic meaning, it means remembrance. It also has a reflection of loss with that remembrance. And I am definitely feeling that after losing my mother last year. So I am honoring this herb coming to me as part of my processing of that, of honoring that which has gone before me. I found this wonderful hand-drawn dissection of a leaf, the cellular structure of a leaf, in my collection of images, something my husband gave me. Also, rosemary is useful with the energies of fidelity, loyalty, and faithfulness. And these are all aspects of why rosemary is associated with healthy relationships, as well as honesty, longevity, and wisdom. I wasn't finding the rosemary images I wanted, so I tried my hand with the little watercolors and some little wall color paper I had, and I painted my own rosemary images. Are they brilliant? No, I don't claim to be a watercolor artist, but it was great fun to stretch my wings and try this form of expression. Just like, for instance, the music playing is me fooling around on a mountain dulcimer, a simple one that we have, that my husband had when I married him. Another aspect of rosemary is the association with memory. My memory of rosemary goes back to my first, well, not my first, but my years of being a student at the University of Arizona. And rosemary thrives in Tucson, Arizona. It loves that desert climate. There was just, banks of it planted in the flower beds around and about in the landscaping. And it blooms in the wintertime, interestingly enough. It blooms these beautiful little blue flowers. And I would touch it, and I would run my hands through it as I was going to my music lessons. And the smell of rosemary is supposed to actually help with memory. And I'm wondering sometimes if that's not why I excelled so much when I was in university, was that I always had the smell of rosemary on my hands. It's just a fanciful notion of mine. How rosemary came to be associated for me as my guiding herb for this season was that during December, I was going through my jars of stuff in the pantry and I came across a jar of hand-dried rosemary from my mother's garden. And I started putting it in everything. I was craving it. I put it in, jam. I put it in on my eggs. It's just anything that would welcome a sprinkling of rosemary got it. And I said, this herb is calling me. It wants to be with me. So if you wonder how one finds this sort of energies for themselves, my best advice is to just pay attention. Pay attention to what is moving you, what is attracting you, and start exploring that, and you will discover there's a reason for it. I'm also celebrating rosemary this year in that I am planning this year to really break through some issues I've had with memory in the past, and I know that I'm going through a phase of my life where I want to foster my memory skills and work on them. So I'm going to have to find rosemary things, rosemary scented things, rosemary essential oil. And I do have one little plant out front. I'm going to have to put more in my garden. Just plant more rosemary. It does okay here in Oregon, and it's nice that it's one of those. I don't think I ever even bothered to water mine last year in the front of the house, and it just is doing just fine. They don't mind drought. So, in fact, they don't like to be wet. Another way to find a guiding energy, such as an herb or an animal, is to ask yourself before you go to sleep, what is guiding me right now? Who is guiding me right now? and pay attention to your dreams. Again, it's all about paying attention. Celebrating. Putting this in my notebook, that this is one of my guides. I do live in a city, and sometimes there is noise around and about. I apologize for all the extraneous noises that might come through. I do my recordings whenever I can find my moments for doing them, and sometimes that's also when the garbage truck wants to go by. But I tune in, and I'll focus on this and hope not too much of it is caught up, but that's the backwash of sound of our lives. I agree with the philosophy of the composer John Cage, in that he encouraged people to find the music in the everyday sounds that are around them. Take your time. Always take your time. I didn't do this video double time this time. I thought it looked too frantic with the pacing of the music and the way I was moving that day. So this is a long video, but it's so peaceful. When I sat down to do these pages, I was very stressed and was having a hard time finding my center. But as I worked on them, I found my tensions melt away as my mind became focused on this simple sort of play of colors and textures and images. It's just like sitting at an instrument and improvising just to play, just to make sounds, and not worrying about being good at it. There is a wonderful creative freedom in not worrying about being good at it, not worrying about, whether this is going to make me any money. Creativity does not come from a place of grasping. It comes from a place of connecting. And that is just how it works. So, finally adding the word rosemary to this, I decided to not write any of the words of what Rosemary meant. Instead, just let the words guide me to what images I chose. And sharing with you here what it means. Choosing to put one of my little Edward Gorey stickers on this. These are so much fun, but they kind of have to be used special. But there is a little, there's that whole loss and remembrance part of Rosemary. It needs to be honored. So this little urn with the little legs poking out kind of is a energy of, these things happen in our lives. But sometimes seeing them through the filter of a little bit of humor helps. That's why I like his art. These teeny stickers that I have toted with me everywhere for so many years. Finally using them up. I mean, they might date from the 90s. It's amazing they still stick. And we finished. Maybe a couple more things. Oh yes, this lovely little green teapot. Because rosemary's an herb. Herbs for tea. I don't know if I've had a tea of straight rosemary. Maybe I should try that more often. It's a pretty pungent herb. Pairs well with blackberries and meat. And also can be burned as a cleansing herb, or just because it smells really good. If there's an open fire in a fireplace or something, I like to throw rosemary in there and smell it as it burns. We have finished our rosemary pages. Next will be our guiding animal. For me, that animal this year is the camel. Once again, I did not have some good camel images in my stock, so I took some photos I had taken from the camel encounter, which I'll talk about more in a bit. And I got out my drawing tools and some drawing paper and just explored what could I do with it. Could I draw a camel? I don't know. I think, in retrospect, these don't seem to have turned out too bad. I do not claim to be very good at drawing, but I think think they look like camels. They're an odd sort of creature. Funny angles, really odd faces. But they also are furry. And big. What does the camel mean? There was quite a bit available, and I loved these meanings. The first one, travel. This makes sense, for they are considered a travel animal. Capable of making long trips across deserts. As well, they mean strength and calm. Commitment. Being in it for the long haul. Confidence. Face it, when you're a camel, you're confident because you're so big, no one's messing with you. Look at that funny face of that camel. And you know what? They really do look like that. I think the eyes are a little big, but the whole lip nose thing. Camels are just funny looking creatures. Anyway, also, obedience, stamina, self-sufficiency, survival. And I love this last one. New routes to explore. Now travel can not just mean going places, physically going places, but it can also mean going places inside, going places in your career, going places in your relationships. But there is a definite travel commitment to camel. I'm curious as to what this will be as my year progresses, because it certainly has not been a time in my life for a lot of travel. And as far as going, other than to an orchestra rehearsal, we're back. So I am, even though I find the concept of travel actually a little daunting, I am working on being open to how this energy is going to unfold in my year and in my life. It may be just more of the self-sufficiency, survival, commitment level as well. But one thing I have learned in this life is never take the path ahead for granted. That path is ever shifting, just like the sands. The route may not look the same as it did a few months ago, or a year ago, or 10 years ago. Rather, we are in a landscape where everything changes really quickly. And you have to be diligent to just keep going and doing your best to figure it out as everything comes your way. Just like I'm sure the camel bears on through the wind and the sand and the hot sun. Keeps going, just making its way, bringing treasure. I do think of the camels as they travel as bringing treasure, bringing exotic things like spices and silks. How did Camel come to me? Why did I bring myself to this animal? Well, it was at Christmas time and I was playing a Christmas gig. I think I've mentioned this in one of my other videos, but I was kind of tired and weary of all the, I had several things back to back. And I drove up to the church where I was doing this Christmas program. And I was greeted by a camel, an actual camel, in a little enclosure. I don't know what was keeping it there, for it could have just left if it wanted to. And I know it was, Christmas program, and somebody was obviously doing, some live animals as part of the, making this a family fun event for people to come to. But my response to it was to be completely charmed that there was an actual camel there. And I don't know if I'd ever been that close to one before. And he was friendly and easygoing with the people. And later on, when, as part of the Christmas pageant, they had the procession of the Magi, they actually brought the camel in the church and walked it through. And it was just, for me, that made my eyes glow. And I'm like, oh, camel, yes. I mean, one doesn't expect to encounter a camel that often when they live in the Pacific Northwest. And yet, there was one there. So I have chosen my hand-drawn camels, some travel-based images, some desert landscapes as my backdrop. I love that. Take the road never traveled. I mean, hey, whenever you have that to cut out, cut it out, save it. What a great little image. And see, I had to get over my lack of ability to, or my believed lack of ability to draw well, to draw these camels. I think they're not so bad. We're not working for brilliance here. We are working for expression, for connection. Creativity is about connecting disparate things in new ways. It's not about duplicating what somebody else has already done. I believe as a creative person, one should always be trying your hand at a new thing. Stay in beginner's mind. You have to actually sit in this place of I would say it's not knowing, because I believe you know. I think there's something deeply inside us that knows what is right for us and right for your project, but you have to be open to that rightness. That means you're not coming from a place of looking for what's wrong. And we learn to self-correct to getting the quote-unquote right answer all the time. That's not how being creative works. It's not about being right. It's not about impressing people. It's not about getting accolades. It's about expressing that inner knowingness and finding ways of connecting with one's inner knowingness helps foster one's creativity. That's why exercise like keeping a notebook like this can be so useful for a creative mind. So, have you selected a guiding animal or a guiding herb for yourself this year? If you have, please feel free to make a comment and say, hey, this is who I have this year, and celebrate it with me. Share. I would love to see what each person is connecting with. And also, if you want to see more videos like this, yes, I am going to ask you to hit that like button and that subscribe button. These just encourage me to keep creating content to bring to you and to share my thoughts. Hopefully, they will cause you to go out in your day and live your life a little more fully. Because isn't that what we crave? Being able to be ourselves in this world. To be content, to be safe, to be fulfilled. Even the making of these videos is a stretch of my creativity, because most of what I've been doing so far has been harp related and my music life related, which is, they always say when you do something, start with what you know, and that's what I know. And this is a stretch beyond that. And I push myself to create music, just beautiful little underscorings on the instruments that strike my fancy. This section is me on my Untitled 23 pedal harp. Here we go. Ringing in camel. I'm already plotting what I'm going to do for my next pages, as I'm sharing 3 layouts with you today. The guiding animal, the guiding bird, and a general layout in about January, as I put together what was January for me this year. That's coming next in this video. Here we go. Okay. Time for January. So what was January to me this year? I made a list of things that were prevalent in the month for me, and used those as a guide for what images I chose. It's nice to put together a layout in remembrance of a month. I'm already now having to, give some idea to what's happening in my February pages as we're approaching the end of the month of February. February is a short month. Does it even count? Of course it does. It's been a busy February for me. January was more about making my I've actually been working a lot on a sewing project that's become quite involved, in that I'm making myself a Victorian style corset, and I spent a lot of time working on hand sewing aspects of that, as I'm not necessarily working from a very detailed pattern. Instead, I'm working from a basic layout that I am having to mold to my shape. I'm really surprised at how much sewing is like sculpture. And I love sewing. That's something I really added to my life in the last year. Sewing and handcrafts in general have always been part of my life. So what was my January? Well, first of all, I really took a deeper breath and started doing more with YouTube. And I plan on doing even more with YouTube. It is a joy to me to share, and I celebrate anybody who watches. Also, I nurtured my inner sewing geek and watched the latest season of Project Runway, which has always been of all those kinds of competition reality shows, that one's always been one of my favorites, just because I like the sewing aspect, but also the creativity. And I enjoy watching the human nature when under the pressure of competition, both because first of all there's human nature, and then there's creative nature. And as someone who has actually competed in her own field, I relate to it on a level. Another thing I'm celebrating is I actually started a big composition project, which I've been wanting to do for a long time. And I don't know how long it's going to finish it, but until I finish it, but I think that this coming up on my 50th year is a great time to really start doing more with that aspect of myself. So I've actually started to compose a symphony. It's one I've had in my head for a long time, but I'm now putting the notes on the paper And I know I just have to spend a little bit of time here and there, and it will happen. It's just like a book. If you write 1 page a day for a year, you will have a book. Whether it's a good book or bad book's irrelevant. Another January thing that I'm choosing to put a point on here for this for my January was I scheduled a camping trip with a friend and my husband, and we're really looking forward to it. I know that that's coming up, and it's helping me focus through the busy times of the next couple months, knowing that I have this reward at the other end of actually getting out and having fun. Now, I'm just aware of this little moment here that is a bit of travel, and I was talking about how is that going to manifest in my year? Well, there's some there, right there. Going and enjoying some camping near the ocean, some time with friends, some time with nature. Chosen for my sound here, for my underscoring, to be me fooling around on my acoustic guitar. I am very, very, very much a beginner at the guitar. I know I don't have great skills, but it's fun to just create sound on an instrument that's not your own. Always trying to find new ways to stretch myself. So I managed to find images that inspired sewing and music, nature, camping. I became enamored of an anime series called Yuru Camp, or Laid Back Camp. It's these little girls out camping in Japan. Oh my gosh, so cute. I actually watched a lot of that. What I could find. So what will the next pages entail? Well, upcoming projects, and hope you'll stay tuned for. Just doing a page for books that I plan on reading this year. I am giving reading more of a priority in my life, and I've been using it as something to do while I'm waiting in rehearsals. And because even though rehearsals can be really stressful and require a lot of, paying attention, there's also times when you don't have anything to do but sit quiet. So that's when a good book is definitely useful. And I find not staring at my phone to be a good idea. I get tired of scrolling. There's too much noise to really enjoy anything, and plus I have to have an ear out, so yeah, you can't listen to anything. So it's a great place to read, though. It's like you've got this great and glorious classical music all around you. So my goal with the books is to revisit some old friends, and also finish some that I've started and not finished. I'm planning on alternating those. Kind of like this image of this lady that she's kind of wearing a outerwear almost corset bodysuit. I thought it was kind of had that energy of, yes, I'm crafting this myself. I'm making this work in new ways. Love having these little boxes of things to play with, images, colors, stickers, shapes. I've been collecting these up. But you don't need to actually purchase these kinds of supplies. You can just use whatever paper and pen you have to do something like this. Other upcoming projects, other than the books, is I'm going to create a just a second, noisy trucks. My goodness, I'm going to create a spread for wishes. I will put a list of those wishes, and I even have little wish bottles. I will show you to those to you at the end of this video. That I'm going to put them in, but I'm also going to put them on a page as well. And another thing, this is a creativity exercise. I am collecting what I call specimens in larger little glass vials that are in a box, and these are just whimsical things. Things that don't actually make much sense. So like, why would I save that and put it in a bottle? And yet what I'm going to do, this is where the creativity comes in, is I'm going to create what they are. Like, what are those leaves? Are they just something I picked up in the bathroom off our ficus plant? Or are they going to be something, they're going to be transformed into some sort of magical talisman? That's where the creativity comes in. It's looking at something as something else. That's just a pure creative exercise. And kind of fun. So there will be a spread to record my magical talismans in. My specimens. This is the secret notebook of Dr. Hexenried. Dr. Hexenried is up to some special magic. Well, wishes and specimens. And reading. Now I'm making a little, I'm actually going to put the words of the things that spoke to me this January as I finish up my January pages. Of course, I'm also going to do February pages. There's another video right there. So I can ask you to stay tuned. If you've made it this far in this video. I know this is a long one, but that was what happened. That's how long the session took. maybe the pacing of these. Playing other things I get to explore, playing with lighting, camera angles. I would say I've managed to. My first, no, I think it was my second notebook video, was I ended up with it too far down. Now I've ended up with it too far to the side. Not sure how that happened. But it's fun. I think working with limited resources actually enhances one's problem-solving skills. Remember the old saying that I've done so much for so long with so little, I'm not qualified to do anything with nothing. January was a good month. Got a little, probably a little boring there at the end, but then things started to get busy. February's been a busy month. I hope this encourages you to also create a notebook spread for the month of January and to start looking around for some creative projects for yourself. I have some other ideas I hope to play with in the future as well. One of them is exploring one's wild animal. And I don't mean that like wild, like crazy and everything. I mean just like that, call that mammal nature that needs certain things. We humans with our big brains tend to forget that we're also just animals in this creation, trying to survive and live. And we tend to shortchange our basic needs because we get so involved in making all these things our brains think we should be doing more important. So I want to do pages on that. So I hope you join me again for another video. These are meant to be calm and relaxing, with hopefully some words of wisdom and guidance, some encouragement. And I will continue to try to make these better. Maybe I'll do the next group just one spread at a time, so it's not such a long video. Although I think this one takes you on quite a journey. And I've enjoyed my reviewing and editing of it to bring this to you, for it's caused its content to sink deeper into myself. So as I said, it's created a whole new level to this creative experience. And I'm still working on that corset, but it's getting there. And I'm still working on that symphony. And I'm even managing to stay on top of doing YouTube videos while I'm very busy. Reviewing, here's my camel page, my guiding animal. My guiding herb. And the notebook is closed. Here's my little jars. Here's one of my first specimens. What is this? That's what I get to explore. As well, see, I've already collected something, but I've not cataloged it yet. And here's my box that I have them stored in. A little pouch for putting things in if I find them, for collecting things. Should remember to take that with me. Finding the magic in the mundane. That's what it's all about. For life is in the little things. Here's my little box for my wishes. Teeny tiny little glass bottles. Aren't they cute? My goodness. Gotta put wishes in those. There we go. That's the end of this session. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.